Good afternoon and welcome to Book and Puppet Company's Story Hour. Today we're reading books to celebrate Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and we're going to be reading a book where something kind of sad and bad happened a long time ago to somebody's parents and grandparents. So this book is called So Far From the Sea by Eve Bunting, illustrated by Chris Soentpiet. We're really going to learn about something that was sad and bad that happened a long time ago. And you can see there's a mom and a dad and a girl and her brother. And I think it's very cold where they are because they're wearing very warm coats. And they're standing next to something. It's like a statue, and they have flowers. It's a memorial statue. And there's the mountains in the background. So far from the sea. You can come and sit over here if you want to see the story hour. So far from the sea. My mom and dad, my little brother Thomas, and I have been driving since early morning. Okay. Did you have to drive to get here? Some people have to drive when they come to Crayola because we're in Center Square where Crayola is. This mom and dad, they and the kids were driving since early morning. It's afternoon now. We've driven along this road before, and I know we're almost there. Thomas knows too, and he's quiet, watching. In the distance, on both sides, are dark snow-topped mountains, dull as the February sky. The road is straight and endless. Crows strut in the stubby fields. Does Thomas feel spooky and scared the way I do? Maybe he's too little to understand. Here it is, Dad says, and I see the two rough wooden planks sticking out of the dirt at the side of the road. We pull into the space between them. Where are they going? Looks like they're on vacation or something. Dad says there was once a sign that hung between those wooden planks. Manzanar War Relocation Center. It said once there was a barbed wire fence. That's has spiky parts that would stick you on the top of the fence. Like, here's a picture of it. That's a barbed wire fence. It's a fence that has really spiky, sharp parts at the top so no one can climb over it. Once there was a barbed wire fence so you couldn't get in or out of the place without permission. Once there were guard towers with searchlights on top. The towers are gone now, along with everything else. Farther back from the road, I can see the small stone gatehouse with its boarded up window and strange pointed roof. That gatehouse is one of the few things left. We've driven to Manzanar 4 times, and I remember every one of them. I should be used to this place, but I'm not. I shouldn't be nervous, but I am. See, this is what it used to look like a long time ago, and you can see that there used to be a barbed wire fence. There used to be the tower with the searchlight, and people used to be inside of the fence and couldn't get out because of the barbed wire. This is a really bad place to live. I don't want to live inside of a fence with barbed wire and guards. I wish I didn't live there. Laura, Thomas, put on your jackets and boots, Mom tells us. We've taken them off in the nice steamy warmth of the car, but now we struggle back into them. I check my right-hand pocket. The folded neckerchief is still there. Make sure you have your gloves, Mom reminds us. Dad opens the door and an icy wind from the Sierra whooshes into the car. Thomas squinches back. Can't we drive to where Grandfather is? Dad shakes his head. This will probably be the last time we come here. I want us to walk through the camp. Grandfather? It will probably be the last time because we are moving from California to Boston, Massachusetts. That's very far away. There's a sea in Boston too, and Dad says we can see it from our new house. I think how much Grandfather would have liked that. To him, the sea was everything. I can't bear to think we have to leave him here. Why is Grandfather here? Dad opens the trunk, and Mom takes out the beautiful silk flowers we've made to bring with us. The other times we came, we brought real flowers, but we know they probably died fast and blew away. Bringing silk ones today was Mom's idea. We start walking across the wide dirt field. It is huge, bigger than the most enormous football field, and there's nothing on it but a few scrubby trees and bent over shrubs. It's hard to imagine that once thousands of people lived here, and there were barracks. That's like a big place where people have beds. And a hospital, and churches, and a school where my dad went. Oh, this is a picture of the school where her dad went. The way it was almost seems like a picture on a blackboard that got wiped out by a giant eraser. Wow. It's like this never happened, that there was this school. We walk side by side, the four of us. Tire tracks wiggle around us in the soft dirt. There had been people here before us, people who came and left again. Did you go to a school like this? They don't seem to have desks. They're all listening to the teacher. This was a long time ago. Oh, here they are going across that big empty space. My dad is smiling down at me. There was a song we used to sing when we were in this camp. It was popular in 1942. Dad has a terrible voice, but he sings anyway, quietly. Manzanar is a quiet kind of place. Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. He shakes his head. Can you imagine? We were just kids. I'm not sure we even thought what those words meant. Part of an old faucet is sticking out of the dirt. Thomas falls over it. Thomas would. Oh, it's like he tripped. Oh, here's a picture from a long time ago again. Let's keep going, pal, Dad says, and Thomas limps on. I see he is holding Mom's hand. Thomas doesn't like to hold anyone's hand. He must feel the scariness of this awful place. Why did they put you and Grandmother and the aunts and uncles here? Anyway, he asks. Dad pulls his head far back in his hood like a snail going into its shell. Because Japan attacked the United States, he says. It was a terrible thing. Suddenly, we were at war, and we were Japanese living in California. The government thought we might do something to help Japan, so they kept us in these camps. And this is a picture of the attack at Pearl Harbor, where Japanese planes dropped bombs on American ships. It was the beginning of the American involvement in World War II. Dad has explained this 100 times, but Thomas forgets because he is so little. It wasn't fair, I say. It was the meanest thing in the whole world. You were Americans, like I am, like Thomas. Dad shrugged. Can Japanese shrug. It wasn't fair that Japan attacked this country either. That was mean too. There was a lot of anger then, a lot of fear. But it was more than 30 years ago, Lori. We have to put it behind us and move on. He looks toward the mountains. I used to watch those. They'd change with every season. In summer, at sunset, they were pink, and a shadow like a giant eagle would fall across them. I wish I could climb on its back and fly away, far, far away. I stare at the mountains, trying to imagine my dad then. He was 8 years old. Oh, here's a picture of her dad when he was just a kid. He was 8 years old, a year older than I am, 3 years older than Thomas. We stop while Thomas pulls up his socks. They always slide down inside his boots. It's bad to stop, though, when there's no sound of our footsteps crunching in the dirt. I can feel the ghosts watching us, the ghosts of the 10,000 people who once lived here. I hear them whispering. You want to be the ghost whispering? Was your camp better than this one? I asked Mom, speaking so there'll be a real sound. Way back then, she was in a camp too. She lifts the silk flowers and smells them, though they have no smell. It was colder in Wyoming, where I was, she says. The snow was deeper. Well, her mom was even in a different camp. The wind is gusting, blowing ice prickles on my face. Mom's flowers rustle. I see a piece of twisted tree root on the ground and pick it up. This'll be perfect. Look, there's the monument, Thomas says, running ahead. The monument is tall and thin and white. An obelisk, Dad calls it. It looks so weird standing out here in the middle of nothingness. On it in black Japanese script are the words, Memorial to the Dead. It marks the cemetery that lies behind a wire fence. We go in through an opening. Why are they going to this cemetery? That's where the dead people are buried. People have left offerings at the monument held down by pieces of wood or stones. There are origami birds, their wings trapped under little rocks. A broken cup holds crumbs of a rice cake. There are bits of colored glass, some coins. A bare cherry tree branch is stuck inside one of the cracks in the base. I turn my head and see my grandfather's grave. Among the others circled round with stones, he died in this camp. The doctors said it was from pneumonia, but my father says grandfather began dying the day the soldiers came for them to put them in buses and bring them here. Oh, this book is so sad. Grandfather was a tuna fisherman. He had his own boat, arigato, which means thank you in Japanese. He was always thankful for his good life. My father never found out afterward what happened to the boat or to grandmother and grandfather's house. He said the government took those things and grandfather's dignity along with them when they brought him here so far from the sea. And here's a picture of her dad and grandma and grandpa the day they had to go in the bus. Dad told me that while grandfather was in the camp, he went out every morning to check the sky and the clouds and smell the weather. A good day for fishing, he'd say. Instead of a headstone, grandfather has rocks piled one on top of the other, like a small tower. His name, Shiro Iwasaki, and the date, 1943, are painted on the top stone. Dad lifts away a tumbleweed that has blown inside the circle of rocks around the grave. Mom lays the flowers where the tumbleweed was, and Dad weighs their stems down with a heavy rock. We stand looking at the purple and yellow and scarlet silk flowers against the brown dirt. Wind moves the petals. And here's a picture of the day that her dad and her grandpa and her grandma came to the camp. See how sad her grandpa is? Because they took him so far from the sea where he loved to have his fishing boat. And then he died at the camp of pneumonia or of sadness. I'm cold, Thomas says, jumping up and down. We can go now, Dad says. Wait! I take a small folded piece of cloth from my pocket. What is it? Dad looks closer. It's my old Cub Scout neckerchief, he says, and turns to Mom. I thought my uniform went to the Goodwill with the rest of the stuff. I took the scarf out of the bag, I say. I wanted to bring it to Grandfather. Dad looks at me for a moment, then nods. I shake out the folds, put the faded yellow neckerchief in front of the stone tower where Grandfather's name is painted, and hold it in place with the tree root. But why is Laura doing this? Thomas asks. It's not Grandfather's. Because I told her a story once. Dad's voice comes from some remembering place. When they came for us, my father said to me, Koharu, put on your Cub Scout uniform. That way they will know you are a true American, and they will not take you. I put it on. But they took me anyway. They took all of us. And there's her dad wearing his Cub Scout uniform, but the soldiers still thought he was not an American, so they still took all of them. I brought the scarf to Grandfather because he was a true American, I say. Dad nods. Thank you, Laura. Dark clouds pile around the mountaintops. Night is coming. We huddle close. We should leave, Mom says. Dad holds her arm as we walk. It was wrong, I whisper. Wrong, wrong. Do you want to whisper wrong, wrong? Let's whisper wrong, wrong. Wrong, wrong. Sometimes in the end there is no right or wrong, Dad says. It is just a thing that happened long years ago. A thing that cannot be changed. We stop while Thomas pulls up his socks. I look back. I never knew my grandfather. But I love him, and I don't want to leave him here. The two ends of the neckerchief have come loose and flutter free. I can see the top of the tree root. It looks like a boat. A boat with sails skimming the wind, heading away from this unhappy place. A boat moving on. Here's her face. She's looking back, and her grandfather's grave, where they just left these flowers and she left that neckerchief. And there's the neckerchief. It looks like a sail. It's like it's flying in the wind, like it's a boat that's moving on. What do you think? Or what do you think about what her dad said? Sometimes in the end there is no right or wrong, Dad says. It's just a thing that happened long years ago. A thing that cannot be changed. But I think you can change it. Laura changed it, even by bringing this neckerchief. Because she loves her grandfather, even though she never met him. And that is the whole story of So Far from the Sea by Eve Bunting, illustrated by Chris Soentpiet. And you can buy this from Book and Puppet Company if you click the link, 20% off. And thank you for coming for our Asian American Pacific Islander Story Hour. See you next time. Bye.